This is the reason here for those that don't understand. This shows a gear here. In the case of the Coventry Victor, that has a timing chain around there. And this is the intake and exhaust valve here. And they both have to be closed. That is to say, they're off the cam at top dead center of the #1 cylinder. And that forms the seal for to give you the compression to have the motor run. It could be in other positions, but you got to make sure that your #1 cylinder is up on the compression stroke. Because with a 4-cycle engine, you got 2 revolutions of the crank, not like in a 2-cycle where you only have 1. So, and this, if you're going to clean the points, this is the front of the housing here. If you're a lithe young fellow like Paul, maybe you can get down there and undo that and clean them right in there. But if you undo that bolt right there, this point block comes out. Can't have lights, and I have it in my hand here. It's on a tapered shaft with a keyway. It can go in no other way. So when you take that one screw out there, you can, that one right in the center, you can take this, just give it a little pull with your hand, it'll come off the keyway, and you can take it into the bench or your shop and clean the points. I'll show you a way to do that when we get done with these photos. Next one there. This is the degree wheel that I talked about here. And this is the keyway, which shows #1 piston on top dead center. Now that little, you could use that degree wheel that you have there. You can make all kinds of them with different ones. This one I made a photocopy from a friend, we'll see it. And this gives you a nice big reading on a thing. And this is how it works. There's the crankshaft with the keyway, and so this would automatically be top dead center. You can take a ruler and lay it across there and put a line right across, and that would give you the line to put your degree wheel, and then you would, in this case, remark 0 degrees or top dead center, and then you could come up to 20 degrees and then mark it there on the flywheel so you know where you'd have that point for the next time you wanted to use it. That was the, you know, I was kind of hoping that Paul might have been here because he'd say, why go through all that BS when I got a simple way to do it? Maybe there is. Maybe there is, and I don't dispute that, but I'm just saying this is my way of not only checking it, but also checking the opening of the points, and I think it's a good, safe way. I don't know how else that you can do it because there are no timing marks on the engine from the factory. But that's the lights. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
You want the last slide, Jim?
No, that's good. That's the last slide. Yeah.
You had one of the spark plugs, Joe. Yeah, there's one more spark plug.
There we go.
You
Oh,
want them down again?
no, that's our. Yeah, just for a minute, I guess. We're talking about spark plugs here, and to talk about the heat range of spark plugs. A lot of people are a little bit confused about that. The heat range of the plug is governed by the, as you've seen here, this has got a long distance to travel for the heat which is generated here to go back and be carried away through the water in the cylinder block system. The cold plug is here, and it has a very short electrode on it, and so it runs very cold. But the problem is it doesn't run hot enough to burn off the impurities of a rich mixture or rings that are worn or a number of other things. The hotter plug, in this case the J18Y, which is the recommended plug for the Coventry Victor, it will run and do everything you want it to do, and they're kind of hard on plugs. I only got about 30 years out of the last set. They're still going strong. So this is a little chart at the bottom. If you go out to buy a plug and you can't get a Champion, you could get in a Bosch or whatever. But what they do on these resistor plugs is they just have an air gap in that center electrode. What happens electronically when that energy tries to go through there, it gets stopped at that air gap. Is, whoa boys, let's get some more help here. In 186,000 miles a second, it says whoa, and then the rest of it comes along and bang, it jumps across that hole there, and then whatever is on the plug there, you're getting you know, a good 10 or 15,000 volts to fire that plug. So the fact is that air gap is much larger than anything else that you say maybe 1/8 of an inch in there. It's much larger than you would get at the spark plug or any other part of the system, and it stresses the magneto. Because I use the old analogy, if I was a drop of water, where would I go? But all pressures try to equalize themselves. And that voltage is built up in the secondary winding. It says, help, help, I've got nowhere to go, but it'll find a weak spot somewhere, and that's where it'll go. And that's why you don't want to run that risk.
So you don't want a resistor plug?
You don't want resistor plugs in there. It says
resistor spark plug wire, right?
resistor spark plug or resistor spark plug wire. It has to be solid core wires marked right on. But have some lights back on. Yeah, I think
What you don't have is when you've got your motor running, you get the resistance on the radio.
Pardon me?
The test, when you have it running, you get resistance on your radio, you get interference.
I don't know about that. I was going boating, not radioing. Maybe that does work. And like in your car. Yes, John?
When you're talking about your card you made up,
I'm sorry?
talking about the card you made up for showing the degrees,
Right.
what, you put that on the flywheel, but what did you use to, on the edge of the flywheel, there's nothing to mark.
No, you turn the degree wheel around, it's taped on to the flywheel, and then you come up to the 20-degree mark, not the top dead center. And that would be 20 degrees before.
You're going to move the flywheel.
Yeah.
Move the flywheel by 20 degrees.
You're going to rotate the flywheel to the compression stroke,
Yeah, but
and
how
then
do you
bring
know-
that up.
How do you know that you've gone through 20 degrees? Like,
Because you're
you gotta have an index mark somewhere else.
you got the top dead center marked. That's what I'm saying. It's on the keyway.
Yeah, that's horizontal.
Right.
Then you start, you've got to have, you put a stick
Okay.
inside the
And then
flywheel.
it's taped onto the flywheel, and it moves.
Right, but you gotta have an indicator there to bring it around.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm
Like
having
if
a
the
little.
top dead center was exactly horizontal.
Right.
You could move it until the 20-degree mark was horizontal. I think what John is saying is in order to accurately align things, you'd have to have some kind of an indicator
Yeah.
off the flywheel to bring it around.
Yeah, if you wanted to, you could put another mark there somewhere that as your reference, and then just move it 20 degrees, come up 20 degrees before the top dead center mark. That's just an accurate way. And from an engineering standpoint, you could take the diameter of this wheel, and somebody with a lot more smarts than me could figure out that it'd be 2 1/4 inches from there to there, and you put a little mark, you know. But I agree with what you're saying. You have to start somewhere. And that brings me to another humorous story. You gotta have one or two of these. When I was just a young lad, many years ago in public school, we had manual training in those days. And it was really good. I always enjoyed that very much. But I had an instructor, Mr. McKenzie, and his theme was, and I've looked at this for the rest of my life, he said to all the class, he said, first you got to square up one side of the board. You get what I mean? You square up one side and everything goes from there. You use your
Still, what you haven't told is, what are you lining your lines up with? You gotta have something stationary to line your pointer up.
yes, if that's the case, you could put a mark on the cylinder or whatever you want to, just anything temporary to use as a reference point.
But it's gotta be adjacent.
Yeah, they don't, the company doesn't put a thing on the motor.
You could just get a piece of coat hanger wire.
Yeah, you could put a piece of masking tape on there with an arrow on it, would do the same thing. Just anything to give you the reference, the difference of 20 degrees.
It should be very close to what you're working on.
Yeah, but you can stick masking tape anywhere you want. It'd be nice if we had a big solid post on there and everything, Jim, but they're not there. Anyways, have I gone overboard on that, or has everybody got the right idea about the degree wheel? I mean, it's an efficient instrument to measure degrees of timing. If we could just measure 300.347 inches, that would be it. And you could stick that in the top of the cylinder and rotate it until it came to there.
So why don't you drill a hole in the top of the cylinder?
Yeah, you could do that too, and a little plug.
Put a screw,
Yeah.
machine screw in there.
Yeah. Oh, lots of suggestions. Drill a hole in the instructor too. But I'm hoping that I haven't confused people with that. Is it reasonably clear?
I can explain how I do it, like that. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, you're just using chain link.
Well, I use the teeth on the flywheel,
Yeah,
and I just get, the flywheel will have 2 marks on it on the perimeter of the flywheel, and that'll be top dead center of the starboard cylinder.
right.
And I turn that counterclockwise, looking at the flywheel.
That's a normal
And just as that
rotation.
comes to the top, the points, I want the points to open up at 7 teeth before that double dot.
Right. Okay.
And the actual, your pointer is now just simply an eyeball vertical line,
Right.
which is pretty accurate because you can line it up with the
Yeah.
center nut of the magneto right behind you.
Even when you're sticking this thing on, you might be off a degree or two.
Yeah, probably, yes. I disconnect the, just put an open and over the points break because I disconnect the condenser wire from the points and I put an ohmmeter across connecting the
To check the point opening, yeah.
Yeah, connecting the primary winding.
That would give you a positive indication of the point
And
opening. But
just as the point's open, the ohmmeter will tell me that there's 0 resistance.
this is,
And I know the points have opened.
yep. This is the Coventry Victor Midget service manual from England, came with the motor.
Yeah, virtually useless.
Virtually useless.
Virtually, there's only 3 lines in that are any good. The exhaust valve opens at, the exhaust valve clearance is 6/7 of an inch, the inlet valve clearance is 4/7 of an
right.
inch, and points are 10
10 to
to
12
12 of an inch,
Right,
and the spark plug gap is
22.
20 or 22.
right.
And those are the only 3 lines in that whole manual that are right.
Well, that's worth the price alone, isn't it? I think I could, when I got March, I think it was 1976, and I wrote to Coventry Victor, and they were still in business at that time, and they sent me the service
I
manual.
got one of those manuals when I first got the parts books.
And this is the BTH magneto manual, and I found it was, at least it told me how to time the engine, how to put the thing on there. And 30 years of fiddling around with these fall workshops, we've never really had anything solid or concrete like that. And there's also parts diagram and parts numbers and so. And by the way, John Thompson was supposed to be here today and he couldn't come because he got a bad cold, but John used to deal with a fellow in England, Dave Lindsley, and he was a armature or magneto rebuilding specialist. But something's happened in the English system over there when they're dealing with the post office and sending stuff overseas. They have what you call VAT, value added tax. And all of a sudden these guys said they don't want to be bothered with all paperwork and the inconvenience that goes with that. So they've stopped shipping to Canada and the United States because they think we're all the same. North America over there, you know? But my suggestion is, if we haven't all got a friend in England, we could find one that could purchase it from Dave Lindsley and then stick it in an envelope and mail it over to it. Or check with Paul Doddington. He might have the part in stock. That's the other thing about it. Because there are fast-moving parts that maybe over the years he still has in stock. There are virtually no parts available for these. That's why we got to preserve them. And that's why my point of coming here today is to try to get this information out so that if something happens to John Thompson, Joe Fossey, or Paul Doddington, this information will be in the system so you'll have a better idea how to do this. I'm not professing to be the know-it-all guy about how to fix it. It's just, you got to get the information out there. And
the Series A Rico magnetos were also used on some of the tractors.
yes, but they're primarily used on Triumph motorcycles.
Well, some John Deere,
Yeah.
Great tractors and so on.
This is the point block that you undo that screw and pull this out from the, I'll pass this around so you can have a look at it. And this one happens to be missing the return spring. I guess somebody needed one and I donated that to the cause. This was I had some extra parts at one time, which I've since moved on. And but I did have this in my toolkit. And one of the things you'll find about, it's awful hard to get them points adjusted, you know. You can't get in there at all with these things. Because, you know, we use them for everything else, but they're not very good point adjusters. Now, this point here is a tap hole through here and a stem, and it's threaded so that point moves out, and this is a lock nut on the bottom. And when I was going to do this meeting, I thought, where am I going to get a wrench for there? A damn vice grip wouldn't fit. So I was digging through my kit, and I found this thing I bought at the Barrie Automotive Flea Market about 25 years ago, and it had a $1 sticker on it. It's your do-it-yourself ignition wrench set. Maybe everybody's got one of these, I don't know. But it just happened to have 2 wrenches in there that fit these. What a stroke of luck for $1, eh? And still in good shape. And the other end, it just about went, but it didn't. So I put it in the vise. I thought, well, I'll just file that a little bigger. And it went screech, screech, screech. No way you're going to file that. This hardened really good.
Okay.
So that's from another friend, there's the wrenches you need. They're her brand. I think it's number 81 and 82. They're beautiful wrenches and they really fit those things perfect. But, you know, you can't go to Canadian Tire and buy these.
Don't pass them around.
Eh?
Don't pass them around. They won't, that may not come up, you gotta really shoot.
The other thing too about,
Okay.
it says right in the book, oh, I've got a couple of minutes yet. I think about 8 minutes. 3. I'm looking at my
We're a
watch.
metric ton.
Okay. It says right in the book, do not file these points. Okay? Some people might ignore that and good luck to you, but I would take a piece of 400 paper and fold it like that and put it in between the points, put some pressure on it, and just rotate that back and forth, you know, for a couple of minutes, and then when that's done, you get rid of that and do it again, and you can be surprised what a beautiful job you can make of polishing up those points. So that's just another way that I would do it. So in 3 minutes, I'll pass that around so you look at it. I want you to pass this. This is the new English way to do things. That's all there is to it. This little keys into this little tube here, and you take, this is the trigger, which you attach on with this screw, and it's keyed on, so it works exactly the same as the way as the points that came out. And then this goes into place, and it's basically a little magnet that rotates and triggers the high circuit. And that thing really, Dick will tell you, it puts out more spark than planters got peanuts. Okay. This is the, you can hide this underneath the engine, but this is the new 40,000 volt coil that goes with it. So they were made and developed for Triumph motorcycles, and of which there are thousands and thousands in England. So they have a ready market for them. So, I mean, Dick, we bought 2 of these now, haven't we?
I've had it for a few years now, first of all, and I think the most important thing to say is you're getting brand new wires.
Yeah, get brand new wires on
That's
it.
all I need, but I like the idea. I think it's a great idea, and I have friends that.
The two things I mentioned was the wire that was bad. There's one right there. This is the new wire, and this is the device, the little carbon brush that picks up off the slip ring. So you can see that. If you want to pass those around just quickly, you see that. Just look at this wire. It's, you know, 50 years old and brittle and hard. If you were to put an ohmmeter on there and measure it, you wouldn't get a very good reading. So just common everyday thing. And spark plugs.
What Joe's getting at what the wire is the spark plug wire must have solid steel wiring. It can't have some regular automotive wire, which is just
Solid core wire, yeah.
string piece. It has to be solid steel wire.
This is a new J18 spark plug, so I'd like that back, by the way. You can't go to Canadian Tire and get those.
You like it all back.
Yeah. You can see the difference on those.
So I say, yeah. Need to do inventory when you start. Yeah.
One last hurrah here. I made myself a spark plug tester. You just clip that on the cylinder head and put that on the number 1, 2 cylinder. And you can adjust this gap here just to a 1/16 of an inch. And when you turn the engine over, you can see zap, 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 zap. And on the Coventry Victor engines at cranking speed, they don't really put out a lot of juice. On a bright day, you probably wouldn't even be able to see the spark. And I guess 10 years ago today, I offered people if they wanted the parts and pieces to make one of these. And I still have, believe it or not, some left. But a pet peeve of mine now, everything is digital. I look in the Princess Auto paper came yesterday. I got a digital tire gauge, a digital torque wrench now, and a digital compression tester. I thought, what the hell is wrong with that one? It's been working good for 50 or 60 years. So I guess I can read that dial quite good, so I'm not going to rush out and buy a digital compression tester. Thanks for your help. If you want any of these parts for those things, pick them up on your way out.
Great. No, any questions? Any further? Thank you very much. Okay, Joe, appreciate